Las Vegas. Let's get him on here. Looks like he's ready. Looks like he's got his microphone ready
There
this
you
time.
go. Yes, I'm here, buddy.
JB the
What's going
Ticket,
on?
welcome.
Yeah, we in the building. You know what time it is. Got to wake you up early.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
know
got my
what time it
USC
is.
shirt back on. They gave Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy back, so that's always a good thing.
I was talking about that. Finally, the NCAA made a good decision.
Yes,
Finally.
yes, yes. I won't be hating on them very much anymore. But Daniel, it's good to talk to you
Oh, I'm
today,
still
man.
gonna hate on them.
Trying to
They
get
made
this
one
thing going.
good decision in 20 years.
I hope you can
But
hear the sound effects, but I just didn't want people to realize. I just wanted people to know it was me, so I decided to bring them on here with you. But we're talking some NFL draft, man. What do you know? They only do
no
it for 3
worries.
days now. We got 3 days. I think we're almost over with this. They are now in round 7. If it isn't over with already, has Mr. Irrelevant been picked?
No. We're still in round 5. Still in round 5.
Still in round 5. Okay, all right.
Yes,
That again.
sir.
That's
So what do
that
you
old
think?
man.
So with the old USC jersey, your boy still hasn't been picked. Rice from USC.
I think it's
I
just
find
I think it's just not a year for wide receivers, offensive players in general. It's just not a good year for them because of the changes in the way that the offenses are run. You're not going to see, speedy quarterbacks coming out of the backfield anymore, and you're not really seeing wide receivers who are dependent on to be the main guy. What you're really running into, Daniel, is a situation where I tend to see a lot of these teams focusing more on defense because that is the key here. You see the quarterbacks were taken in the first round. If you look at the rest of the draft tracker here, we're in the fifth round. You said, right? Let me
yeah.
pull that up for you. I'm looking at a lot of the players that just coming out of the fifth round. Very
No,
top
you're right. I mean,
cornerback, edge, linebacker, outside linebacker, one wide receiver. Anthony Gould came out of Oregon State. Another linebacker, J.D. Bertrand. This D-line, C-back, Aldrich Estime. He was a pretty good player out of Notre Dame. Very few offensive players. If you look at where the defenses are in the NFL, the rule changes. They have to make adjustments. It's much easier to get a linebacker and have a strong defense rather than get, say, a diva wide receiver or a diva running back, and they end up with the injuries because that's really where the big question, if you will, is can they stay healthy? You look at the fanfare that you saw from Ezekiel Elliott about what, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons ago, maybe 10 seasons ago where he came in, but this guy can't find a team, probably won't be on the sideline as a coach. So you have to ask yourself, really, when you look at this draft and you notice there weren't that many draft props in the sports betting arena either. And that's very telling because when you come into it, like I said, teams know what they need now. They need defense. And if you can't get a defense that can stop a high powered offense, then you're really not going to win any games. And the offenses that we've been seeing here in the NFL, we even look at what happened last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're just not dynamic. You got Rashee Rice. He's making questionable decisions down in Texas, crashing. But you talk about the kid Brendan Rice, the wide receiver son of
yeah.
former all-time great Jerry Rice, and I think it's
Well,
just he's going to need to go to the right situation. Okay, he is one of those guys who essentially had the name, but he didn't have the hype. Okay, he didn't have the pressure,
right.
and he played on
But
a
I mean,
USC team that underachieved. So if you look at Caleb Williams going number 1 and then his targets going number 0 so far, that should be telling about the ability of Caleb Williams to get people that good to get into the NFL. Because I heard on the show the other day about, and I saw this myself, I talked about this on the show. Caleb Williams runs out of the pocket. Okay. He's a guy that if he gets out of the pocket, he can make a play. You got guys who can kind of move around with him, if you will. That's college. In the NFL, if you've noticed, you've picked up about 55 edge rushers so far in the draft.
right.
These guys are just as fast as him, maybe even faster. So what I would like to see, the type of team that I would like to see Rice go to is a team with an established quarterback. He needs to be playing under an established head coach to essentially give himself the best opportunity to be successful in the NFL because the wide receiver position, while it may still have importance, you're just not seeing that same factor in the draft. There's tons of guys in trades, signing trades. It's still a business. They got to save money, but the fact that he hasn't come off the board yet, it doesn't really matter. I mean, look at Amon St. Ra. You know, he's a guy, Super Bowl caliber type player playing over there in Detroit, doing his thing. And I don't think he
Right.
was a first rounder. I think he was really late, maybe a fourth, fifth round draft pick. So with a lot of these skill position players, the way the draft is gone and the way the money is going with the free agency, they don't necessarily have to go in the first round to make a roster. However, when you have questionable talent leading you in games, go number one, and then you don't go as of yet, it is very telling about the lack of stats and the lack of tape that he may have playing under Caleb Williams. And you got to look at Lincoln Riley's offense too. We didn't see a lot of deep balls. We saw a lot of broken offensive plays, a lot of, Caleb Williams trying to work with magic on his feet and receivers beating DBs because they just ran routes too long, breaking out from the routes. You see this a lot in college football. You don't necessarily have the receiver who's dynamic. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr., again, great to see him go in the first round, but I would have liked to see him go to a team also with a steady quarterback. Okay, Kyler Murray, he hasn't played in the last 15 months, if you will. So now you've got a rookie coming in with still kind of a rookie post-injury in Kyler Murray. How's that going to be valuable for his career? We've seen this happen in the same situation in Dallas with Des Bryant. Okay, Des Bryant, his career went in the toilet because he had 9 quarterbacks over the 9 seasons he played. Okay, went from Tony Romo and then on down the line. So when you look at where these teams are drafting players in the first round, those first round moves, those are business moves. Those are moves to free up the cap space, to spend the money from guys retiring. Again, shout out to the Los Angeles Rams, their first round pick, that edge rusher out of Florida State. His name slips me right now, but he was definitely the guy that my guy Legal Lee was talking about. Should have gone in the first round, and he did. Let me pull that up here. He went.
I got it right here for you.
Jared Verse.
Jared Verse.
Yeah, yes, Jared Verse. In my opinion, best pick of the draft. You got Aaron Donald retiring. You get his replacement right there. Yes, that's my best pick of the draft. Hands down. Hands down. Because he has all the tools. He played on an undefeated team that got jerked out of the national championship. And then they quit. They got jerked out of their national championship. And they got in the bowl game and essentially quit. A lot of these guys were preparing for the draft, but Jared Verse, Legal Lee says he's the second coming of LT, the great Lawrence Taylor. So when you put it into that perspective, the Rams had the best first round draft play because you've replaced a Hall of Famer with a potential Hall of Famer who's got the tape to prove it. And when you come into the NFL with his skills and abilities, I would see many, many times an edge rusher getting the start, getting the ability to possibly get into a Rookie of the Year candidate. I think he was the steal of the draft. A lot of folks weren't talking about him, but the retirement of Aaron Donald right before the draft made it very simple for the LA Rams. So that's my best pick of the draft. That's my favorite pick of the draft. Everything else, yes, everything else is a business decision. I'm looking here. The Raiders, I like their pick. A lot of people are giving them a hard time. Brock Bowers is one of the best tight ends that we've seen come out of college football since Gronkowski back in the day. Michael Myers was also a very good and serviceable tight end in college, and he got some NFL reps not tomorrow, but he got NFL reps last year with the Raiders. So when you go into that perspective, I'm thinking that the Raiders offense is going to probably do a 2 tight end set a la the Patriots back in the day with Aaron Hernandez. Yeah, I know. And Gronk, okay? And Gronk. And that was working for them. That was a great offensive opportunity for them because when you look at where their deep ball threat is, it's Devontae Adams. You double team him, then who do you got? Not much else, right? So what's the best way to move the ball down the field? Take a page out of your nemesis book, the Kansas City Chiefs, and get yourself a quality tight end and maybe even backup quality tight ends. I like to see them both on the field at the same time. But what made Kansas City go late in the season was Travis Kelce. He was balling. He took the main season off. The regular season, he was asleep at the wheel hanging out with Swift. But when he got into the playoffs and the big game, he was able to produce. And that's what you need now, because the NFL, it changes over the course of the type of players that are featured and the type of players that have most of the impact. In the 90s, it was the era of the running backs, from Emmitt Smith, Edgerrin James. I mean, you
Oh,
go
yeah.
Thurman Thomas. I mean,
Barry
the name is
Sanders.
Barry Sanders, the great Barry Sanders. I mean, they're in Detroit for the draft this year. So many great running backs in the 90s.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
in the 2000s, that was the year of the air it out quarterback. The air it out
Right.
quarterback, the do it all quarterback, the dual threat, the Michael Vick era, the dual threat quarterback, a guy who could throw it 100 yards and run it 100 yards. Okay. Then when we got into the 2010s, that was when the defensive players began to shine. The D backs. We talked about Revis Island. We start talking about Josh Norman. You ain't normal. Shout out Jay-Z for that lyric. Now we're coming into the 2020s, and we're seeing a resurgence of a position that my favorite tight end of all time, Jay Novacek, down in Dallas. The tight ends and the edge rushers are having their moment because they essentially have to block each other, but they also can affect the game. The tight end being a mid-range stretch receiver, a money dime receiver in the red zone, and then the edge rushers, they just keep coming. The sacks that you see now, a lot of interior linemen haven't led the league in the sacks. Long gone are the days where you see a guy like Warren Sapp coming in as an inside defensive tackle leading the league. It's about the edge rusher because of the speed and the dynamicism of the quarterbacks who had come before that. Now, with that being said, these new quarterbacks are not that mobile. Michael Penix, I think, was the first mistake in the draft. You've got,
Oh,
yeah,
no, I disagree.
I mean, the Falcons. No, come on, the Falcons. Let's talk about it. The Falcons had Desmond Ridder, who's a serviceable quarterback, but they stunted Desmond Ridder's growth by trying to hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson. Look, the Dirty Bird running attack is not coming back. Let me say it again. The Dirty Bird running attack is not coming back. Now you pick up a quarterback in Michael Penix, who, again, for all talents and intents and purposes, great football player at the college level. But why would you want to have that much controversy in your quarterback room? Daniel, I'll ask you that. Go ahead. I'm used to asking you the questions this morning, but, this is your show, but that's what I want to know. You said you didn't agree, so I'm trying to figure that out.
No, I
because
don't
that
know. I don't
quarterback room is
agree.
full.
I think by far he's the best quarterback in the draft if he stays healthy. Penix is the best quarterback. Can he stay healthy though? He's had 3 major injuries. He got hurt again at the end of the season, but if he's healthy, he's the best quarterback hands down, in my opinion. Also, I just want to go back to something at the very beginning, going back to Rice, because I was making this point earlier with Jeremiah Trotter Jr., which is really cool. He got drafted by the Eagles, which is where his dad played. But one thing about Rice is, Brendan Rice, when you have these, when you have guys that come into the league that have pedigrees, right?
Mhm.
The Trotter or, the Mannings or the Matthew brothers and
Right.
uncles and
Go
stuff
ahead.
way
Go
back
ahead.
when for
Yep.
Bruce Matthews on. When you have these guys, they none of the pedigree guys, they don't bust. Like they might, at worst they're gonna have a great career as a backup, but you never see these guys with pedigrees just completely bust out. And so
Well, I
it's
think
like
that's
it's a
because,
very safe
yeah,
pick to pick somebody like this instead of taking a risky pick. So I don't understand why Rice hasn't gone yet, because there's a
right,
pedigree there,
right.
and he's not gonna just bust out. He's not gonna be a bust.
No, he won't. I think that he's going to end up like a T.Y. Hilton, coming out of a big school, but getting the respect of a small school guy, but still tearing it up in the league. Another first round pick that really threw me for a loop here. And I like the guy. I think that he's a good football player, but this is the place that quarterbacks go to die. Bo Nix going over to the
The Broncos.
Denver Broncos. I am very sad about that. I think that his career could be in trouble at this point. Okay. He was a little bit long in the tooth, transferred out of Auburn over to Oregon, and now he is in Denver. where we've seen their last 4 or 5 quarterbacks drafted, gone. I told this to my friend on Denver Sports Betting, Ryan Garcia, not the boxer, but the owner of Denver Sports Betting, Ryan Garcia. I told him this about 5-6 years ago. He thought Drew Lock was the guy. I told him unequivocally then, he ain't the guy. He's going to unlock the door and go to sleep. And then we've seen the round robin. They also, I think they picked up Zach Wilson. Okay, so now you've got a full quarterback room of guys who cannot play. So when you take a rookie and put him in a room with guys who can't play, how do you think that's going to affect him? The only guy that I think can get in his ear to make him successful is John Elway. Without John Elway's tutelage, Bo Nix is going to have a long road in Denver. I mean, who do they have on the offensive side of the ball? They just got rid of Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy didn't do anything. They traded away Noah Fant. They were building a decent offensive juggernaut around COVID pandemic time, 2020, 2021. And then they got greedy and stupid and went and traded away everybody for Russell Wilson. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, his arm had been gone.
I mean, that was a disaster.
I told everybody that. I said his arm
was a disaster. Not only is his arm gone, he was a star in his own right. But a lot of people, especially people who already look at him kind of as a square, felt that he should have overrode Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl and given the ball to Beast Mode. But because he didn't do that, he lost the respect of the hood. You don't see a lot of Russell Wilson jerseys running around, and then he got the rap beef with Future and all that stuff that I tend to make jokes about because you're in the public forum. People do this in private all the time. But the reality with the Denver Broncos is they are exactly who Homer Simpson think they are. Okay, remember when Homer Simpson was gifted the Denver Broncos and he wasn't quite happy about it? That's kind of how I feel about that team. It's just one of these teams where everyone talks about in Raider country, oh, we got to beat the Broncos. We got to beat the Broncos. You know the easiest way to beat the Broncos? Just don't show up to the stadium, okay? They're going to beat themselves. It's just what it is, you know? So that's the easiest way to beat the Broncos. They're not winning anything. They're not doing anything this year. They're drafting out of need. And then when I go into some of the players that I thought he would have gone a little bit sooner, Xavier Leggett, wide receiver out of South Carolina. Look, this is a good pick for Carolina, but it's a bad pick for Xavier. Who's going to throw the ball to him?
Thank you. I've been telling people the first 2 rounds, so many people went to the wrong team. You know what I mean? Like they're just, this is the year of bad fits.
Yes. Bad fits, bad shoes, a lot of deal killers, no winners. Let's move into round 2 here. I'm so glad you're having me on again, Daniel. Thank you. You know, I get up early every Saturday and Sunday to do the radio show, but
shout out your radio show again.
Oh, yeah. JBTHETICKET.com, Vegas Scoreboard Express, #1 sports betting radio show in America, according to the charts on Good Pods. And then if you even go to the other pod, I'm #4 here in Las Vegas and top 25 around the world. I don't worry too much about charts. I worry about checks and cashing bills in your pocket. Now, this is a player that I've really thought would have gone a little bit higher. I watched a lot of Iowa games. Everybody talked about this guy being the specialty DB. They thought he might have gone to the Raiders. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. This is a guy, A-, right on the plus money box for the Eagles. Just reload and reload. This guy is a pick monster in the good way, not a quarterback. If you're a D-back and you're a pick monster, that's great. I suspect this guy, if he gets in camp and stays healthy, he can help shore up that issue that we had last year with Darius Slay taking plays off. Okay, that's why they didn't get to the big game last year. That defense was getting picked up. And then you get this kid, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Love that name. Kool-Aid, man.
He's my favorite corner in the whole draft.
I'm telling you, Kool-Aid McKinstry is another pick monster that is going down to a Saints team, which I like that because the Saints are known for defense. They've got a strong defense. You don't got to worry about him mucking it up on the offensive side. But he did mention that he can play special teams. So let's hope that he doesn't get hurt out there trying to run the ball back. And then another player that people were talking about the last couple of weeks thought that he might have fallen into the Raiders' hands because we need an offensive tackle. Kid out of Houston, man. I had him on my draft board. The Dolphins picked him up 2nd round. Patrick Paul out of Houston. This guy's a unit, okay? That's the only reason that Houston was relevant. This man can block. And when he blocks, he tends to pancake block and move to the second level onto the linebackers. All right. The Dolphins have got a great offensive stopper here for Tua Tagovailoa because he's going to have to keep protection so he doesn't end up back in concussion protocol. We saw him have a successful season, but he was down statistically across the board. He tricked you all with that 70-point outing, and then after that, it was deep in the toilet. You know, I like to tell you, 2 turds in a bucket and see which one goes down first. Let me take another look at a player here that a lot of folks didn't have on their list, but I've been watching these guys. Renardo Green, cornerback out of Florida State, okay? I love the Florida State guys because that's an undefeated team. If you're a GM, if I'm a GM and I'm drafting players and they're players of caliber that can play in this league, I'm going to ask you, was there any team in college football that was undefeated or close to it? And when you tell me that the Florida State Seminoles, a team that is known for sending top draft choices to the NFL, one of the favorites, and he's now coaching college football at Colorado. Shout out to Coach Prime. He was another Florida State alumnus. Renardo Green is going to be a sleeper DB in this draft, okay? He's got all the tools of Darrelle Revis. He doesn't have the greatest hands to get interceptions, but he is a shadow cover corner. This is a guy that if you're going to go one-on-one, give it 1 or 2 seasons. If he makes it and he stays on this team, he will be the shutdown corner for the San Francisco 49ers, something they have needed desperately in their division. But I'll go ahead and go back over to you, Daniel. Again, it's your show. You're just hanging out with me. Thank you so much. What else you got for me? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, so you did talk about the same. I have a question since we all know you're in the Raiders country. We know you're a Raiders fan,
Yes.
but
Yes.
So as you know, Derek Carr is now with the Saints, and the Saints picked Spencer Rattler. Do you think that means Derek Carr's time is numbered there, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be numbered there. The guy's long in the tooth. 175 years old in the NFL. He should be collecting AARP, should be on the sidelines. He's got to help Spencer Rattler, another dynamic player that I do like coming out of this draft. He's got to help him develop, and he's the perfect guy to help Spencer develop. If Spencer is somewhat religious and can respect the things that he brings as far as the spiritual level to the game, I think it's a great fit. Shout out to Spencer Rattler for going to one of the best guys that I know in pro football, and Derek Carr. That entire Carr family's upstanding people, good people, God-fearing people.
They are.
That's a very, very good team for him to go to. Very happy for Spencer. Now, you mentioned some things about the Raiders. We did pick up another sleeper D-back, to Cameron Richardson out of Mississippi State. Now, this is a guy who plays off ball. He's a zone magnet, though. He tends to know where he's at in his zone. He's got great side-to-side, line-to-line speed, okay? He's not going to be catching people from behind, but you won't get past him, okay? If you're a slant receiver, this is not the type of guy you want in front of you. 6'2", 195, brute. He's going to hit you. He's going to get penalties. It's a great pick. If he could pick up an extra 20 pounds, he might be able to double as a strong safety in the blitz. He's got the speed, okay? He doesn't have hands to be a pick monster, okay? However, in the zone, don't throw it near to Cameron Richardson. If you complete it, you're not going to get any yards, or he's going to knock it down. I really, really like that pick, okay? Delmar Glaze, kid out of Maryland. He helped Tagovailoa's little brother stay relevant, okay? This was a kid who I don't think he's been drafted yet as well when he was coming out of Maryland to his little brother. But that's the reason that's the reason that Maryland has stayed relevant. Delmar Glaze, another one of these guys, moves well on the line. The only issue that I have with him is balance. This is a penalty monster. They're going to have to work on him with his balance. I saw him get too many. And again, this is just human nature. If you're 300 pounds, you're 6'5", and you get into a 3-step stance on the offensive line, some weight might shift. You might fight. You might have a little issue. Might got to scratch your nose. I saw that a lot with this kid, but he's good, okay? If they can get his balance right, help him keep his set and explode off the football, he should be a decent addition to that offensive line. Don't want to see him start yet. I want to see him maybe be a third down offensive line. Somebody come in, get some run block experience, maybe put him on the kickoff team or the field goal team. He's got to master his balance, though. You can't be falling forward and getting 5-yard penalties when we was 3rd and 1. You know, you can't do that. We don't want that to happen again this year. Jackson Powers Johnson, another inside, outside lineman. Now, again, this is a guy who could be the center that we're looking for. Good squat. We don't want him blocking. We want him blocking straight ahead. We don't want him doing shade blocks. Okay, another balance issue guy, but best available. Okay, he helped Bo Nix maintain his dominance. All right, so we can move him into that center position, maybe get him in that left guard position. We just need him blocking downfield, and that's the reason why. Yeah, and that's the reason why Josh Jacobs left. Okay, because we didn't have a downfield lineman to block for him. So while he led the league in rushing the year before, and they didn't give him the contract, and knowing the people that we know, we knew he was going to be out of here anyway. But the point that I'm saying is, because the Raiders now are going to have to go with Zamir White, they're going to have to use their running back room succinctly. They're going to have to figure out what specific lineup is going to work for which back and which play, because as you know, the running backs have not shown very much value in the last 3 or 4 drafts. Okay. And they're very, very low value in free agency. You remember last year, I was the first one to break that story about running backs having no value. And then what happened the next week?
Austin Eckler, right?
JB. Yep.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, these guys were listening to me probably talk at lunch. The next thing I know, I'm sitting there like, hey, why'd all the players leave? Oh, I guess I was talking loud. That happens. But I got to bet. I got to make this money with the bet again. Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me come on DS Sports Ledger. Again, I'm JB the Ticket, host of Vegas Scoreboard Express, live each and every Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. in Las Vegas on KSHP 107.1 FM and AM of 1400. So I think the Raiders right now, we've got 3 more picks. We've got a 6th round pick. We've got a 7th round pick and a 7th round pick. If I were the Raiders right now, I would start looking for a quarterback to trade up and get off of a roster. There are a lot of guys, and I probably will get lambasted for saying this, but I don't think Sam Darnold would be bad to have in the quarterback room for the Raiders. And let me tell you why. He knows how to win. There are 2 teams that if you're a quarterback, you don't want to go to, and that's my hometown beloved Jets. You guys don't know, I'm from New York, from Harlem.
By the way,
and the Denver Broncos.
I like the Jets' last 2 picks. They picked Jordan Travis from Florida State, quarterback.
And
then they picked Isaiah Davis, South Dakota State running back. I like both.
They're doing it to me again. Look, you picked up a guy with no leg. The only guy I like that the Jets picked up, again, we're wasting more money on offensive line picks. Who are you going to block for? 100-year-old Aaron Rodgers who faked an injury last year so Zach Wilson could play? No. Olumoyua Fashanu from Penn State, high draft pick on the line, blocking for nobody. Okay? Aaron Rodgers at 50 in ayahuasca is not the same Aaron Rodgers who wanted to come out of Cal and prove something for getting left in the draft room. Malachi Corley, wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. He plays like a running back, catches like 1-2. I mean, come on. What are they going to do? Make this guy a scat back, wildcat type of guy? He's got to work on route running and securing the football. And for him to go in the 3rd round so high, it's just to let you know again that the front office in New York are disappointing your boy JB. Costing me each and every single season. We see this. Last year they pick up Sauce Gardner. What does he do?
He was good.
You can't play defense by yourself. Right, but he was the defensive player on an already decent defense, and they have no offensive capability. I told you within the first 5 minutes, Aaron Rodgers decided he was taking the season off. That wasn't an Achilles injury. He got up, came to the huddle, and said, "Oh, I forgot that agreement that I had with Josh over there. I'm high on ayahuasca. I gotta go." And then we pick up Braylon Allen, okay, running back out of Wisconsin. Again, he's a athletic running back. What does that do in the NFL for you? Nothing. Yeah. This is the type of guy. Again, the running back position, I'm sad to say, it's not valuable. You got defensive linemen who are faster than these guys. This isn't you run through a line of defensive players and beat the linebacker with a spin move. These guys are running 4.2, 4.4. These are defensive linemen doing this. So you mean to tell me you want me to hand you the ball 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, possibly lose yards with you getting hit and tackled behind the line of scrimmage, and then to get 10 yards as a first down, mathematically, you have to go 20 to 25 yards. Give me a break. The math ain't mathing for these running backs. The times have changed. It has changed. The defensive players are that much faster and they're that much stronger. You're not going to have an Emmitt Smith type of run play because Emmitt Smith used to carry the ball 40, 50 times a game. Most of these running backs now, they're getting 20, 25 touches, and they're getting 68, 70, 80 yards. If that. So when you look at him coming out 6'2", 245, long gone are the days of Ron Dane. That's what they're trying to bring back just on the other side of the river. It's not going to happen here. Jordan Travis, I'm disappointed. I wanted him to go to the NFL. Just not with my team. Okay, give him a chance. He hurt his leg. We know that. But I didn't want him on the Jets because, again, we already have gone through 500 terrible quarterbacks. Now we've got a guy that can't play. This guy's got an ACL, one leg, something, and you go in and you say to yourself, my Jets, hometown Jets, I'm a Jets homer, okay? In 2009, I sat in the black hole with Raiders fans. It was the greatest game ever with Raiders fans rooting for my Jets, and Mark Sanchez beat the Jets beat the Raiders like 42-45-0 back in 2009, October 25th. You can check the record. The Jets took it. However, from that point on, from Mark Sanchez, the Jets have been in quarterback hell.
Yeah.
Whether it's first round, second round, third round, it does not matter. I'm sure there were more available, even Division II, Division III quarterbacks. See, with the NFL, for me, it's all about remaining healthy. Okay? If you can't get a guy who can remain that key word in the NFL, healthy, if he can't perform at the high level that they need to perform at to be successful at the college level, why would you go and put a kid who's hurt tremendously? Now, it's happened in the past. Remember Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, especially Willis McGahee, but he never became very much in the NFL, right? Had a few good seasons, few good touches, got a few mercy touchdowns. But the reality always comes back to be successful in the NFL long term, you have to stay healthy. Healthy in the NFL is missing no more than 3 games a season. You know what I'm telling you is true, okay? If you're healthy,
availability is the best ability, right?
Availability is the best ability, and I'm telling you, 3 games, no more than 3 games. This guy is just
no more than 1 game if you're a quarterback.
Right. Exactly. They'll make you lose the MVP for that. Again, Aaron Rodgers. Hello.
All right, so let me move on to another team. Another
Go
team
ahead.
that I think did really good. One of my favorite picks of the whole draft, Jalen Polk, went to the Patriots. But I want to ask your opinion. They also picked Drake May. What do you think about Drake May? He went to the Patriots.
Drake maybe.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe he'll throw it to his receiver. Maybe he'll throw it to the other team. Okay. This is what I'm talking about here. Drafting guys that are duplicates of guys you already have. Now, don't they got Mac Jones? Zep Pepe got out of there.
I don't know where he went.
Okay, they got rid of Mac Jones. And then you brought in another Mac Jones. Okay, I'm not big on these UNC quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Remember when Mitch Trubisky came in? And that's what I call him, Mitch Trubisky, because it's true. You can pick him every time. Remember,
I don't think he played for UNC, but the one that
yes, he did. Mitch Trubisky was a UNC quarterback. Pull it up. Pull it up.
No, you're probably right then.
Pull it up. Oh my goodness, he cost me so much money that year betting on the Tar Heels. Mitch Trubisky, okay? And this is Drake maybe. I don't see him starting. Belichick isn't there. The Patriots are going back to having a little man on the helmet.
Yeah, you're right. North Carolina.
That's just what it is, okay? North Carolina has done this to us several times.
Yeah, now they have the Redskins guy. What's his name?
Yeah, was it Sam Howell? Did you throw that ball to the other team?
Yeah, Sam Howell.
Sam to make you howl. Oh, make you howl because he throws the ball every way. So you got Sam make you howl, Mitch Trubisky, and now the Patriots have picked up Drake maybe. Waste of a pick. It's just mind-boggling. Again, Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington, would have been better to maybe pair him down in Atlanta. But again, the wide receiver position, he just got picked on a best available thing. But that particular pick, in my opinion, worst pick in the draft, especially the first round.
Drake May.
Really? Right. Because why didn't you take Bo Nix? Bo Nix is 24 years old. He's a grown man. He's played in all the major conferences in college football because that's what they let them do now. And in my opinion, out of all the quarterbacks who came out in the first round, Drake May is the most game ready. He's ready to step in day one.
There's not very many quarterbacks that have been drafted after the age of 23
Excuse me,
that have
Bo
really
Nix is
ever
ready to
worked
step
out.
in day one. Yeah, go ahead. Say that
Yeah,
again.
but he's 24. There hasn't been very many quarterbacks that have been drafted that were 23 years or older when they got drafted that have really worked out ever in the NFL.
Well, you
So
got to
these
go
older
Chris
guys that
Winkie.
come
Chris
into the NFL
Winkie.
late, none of them really work out.
Chris Winkie did well from Florida State back in the day. He was a late
Not
bloomer.
really.
Jake Plummer was a decent bloomer out of
Yeah.
Arizona State. He went on a Mormon mission,
Jake
came
Plummer
back
was
with
better than
Arizona State.
Winkie.
But when you go into the quarterback sideshow here and you say Carolina, I don't want any quarterbacks out of North Carolina. I'm just sorry. That's not a quarterback school. It's pull up the last 5 quarterbacks draft. I'll do it right now. Last 5 quarterbacks, because I forgot we're on the live stream show here. Last 5 QBs drafted.
Yeah.
From UNC, and I'm going to use not just anecdotal hating here. The last 5 quarterbacks drafted. List of Carolina Tar Heels in the draft. Okay, here we go. Pulling it up right now. All right, I'm going to throw some names at you.
All right.
Oh boy, we're not going to go that far back. TJ Yates, 5th round. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
That's the first one there.
Decent
Drake
backup
May.
kind of game.
Yep. Oh my goodness, they had Ronald Curry. Yeah, there you go, Ronald Curry.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
I mean, should I continue?
No, you really don't need
to. This is not where you want to go. I'm telling you, this is not where you want to go. I think the Patriots are going to remain in the toilet for quite some time. I'm not going to be betting on them. I'm not giving them any grease just because we're tied to a winning pedigree for so long. It's the same thing that happened with the 49ers until they got kind of back to respectability as a team. But they had Steve Young, and before that, they had Joe Montana. So we got used to seeing the 49ers in the Super Bowl or near it for many, many years. We're just seeing them sniff the Super Bowl again in these late 2000s, 2020s. Now, let's go to another team that a lot of people have been asking me about. They're talking about the Minnesota Vikings picking up J.J. McCarthy. I want your thoughts on that because J.J. McCarthy, I think he's an underrated quarterback.
So
he won a national championship. But
yeah, my thoughts on McCarthy is just that
he doesn't have that it factor, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. See, and that's the thing. What I like about J.J. McCarthy is that he went to the right fit. A lot of these guys went to the wrong fit. McCarthy went to the right fit. So he has kind of a leg up on some of these other teams. I mean, don't you agree that that's a really good fit for him? Of all the teams that could have picked him.
I think it is. He's going to get a chance to play in a dome.
That's I feel like that's probably the best team that he could have gone to.
I think so as well. However, he doesn't have anyone to learn under. They got rid of Kirk Cousins. Now, when Kirk Cousins came out of Michigan State, he backed up RG3. Shanahan destroyed RG3's lower extremities with just overplay. And then Kirk Cousins got his chance to start, made himself into a full-time NFL starter, put cash in his pocket. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he go down to the Falcons? Hello?
Yeah.
And the Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. with, I think, the number 8 pick. You guys are driving me nuts. I don't understand. I just don't get it. But he's never going to play. And you've got a starter that has played and proven to be a starter. Now you've got J.J. McCarthy all alone up in Vikings land. Vikings, remember, they got rid of Adam Thielen down to Carolina this past season. Who is he going to throw to? I'm telling you who's really, really mad right now. Justin Jefferson. He's already looking for the door. Okay? Because this is what happens with these young receivers. You look at Justin Jefferson, he should be tearing the league up, right? Right.
He is.
But he can't. He can't. Oh, come on. Really? Come on now. These guys were not throwing him the ball correctly.
Right.
And that's why you haven't seen Brendan Rice get pulled out. And you're going to see the same thing happen with Marvin Harrison Jr. Who's going to throw to you? You've got a
Kyler Murray.
quarterback who just wants to. Kyler Murray cares about completions, not getting the players that he needs to get involved. He cares about completions. If you look, there was an interview with Marvin Harrison's father who said that he told his son the one thing that he did in sports when he played in the NFL was go into the meeting room and say, look, we're not leaving this meeting until we figure out how to get me the ball. That's the best advice that he could have given his son, because he's going to have that same conversation with Kyler Murray every week. Kyler, don't hold on to it and get sacked. Pass it to me. Kyler likes to hold on to the ball too much, and we know that he was supposed to get traded out, but the damages, he's already gotten the coach fired. I mean, come on, man. This coach that he got fired, Cliff Kingsbury, Cliffy Poo, he was a dynamic college football coach who they said was going to revolutionize the offensive way that the new mobile quarterback played. And he got the dream quarterback that he wanted in Kyler Murray, and it cost him his NFL coaching career.
Right.
I think that J.J. McCarthy, if he's able to rely on his championship pedigree and give himself enough time, he can be a good quarterback. If he's thrown to the Wolves day one, oh boy, it's going to be a long season up in Minnesota. Minnesota also picked up Kyrie Jackson, cornerback out of Oregon. He was in Alabama a couple of years back for the national championship. I think that he's a good fit. The Vikings defense, it ain't been great. It ain't been bad. However, there's one glaring issue that they've had, and that's their secondary. I don't know whether the Vikings are still going to try to go back to being the purple people eaters, having a strong defensive front, couple of strong linebackers, but they got to do something. I think their next two picks should be DBs because they got an edge. They got the quarterback. They're not worrying about running. Again, they got rid of Dalvin Cook. See all these names I'm bringing up to you that were stars? And now they're on milk cartons. That's because the GMs and the individuals who run the rosters on these teams know that the value of those players from game-winning perspective. If a running back in the 90s got 30 to 40 touches a game, and now in today's game he gets 20 to 25, and only 5 of those are effective, well, that's a 20% effective rate. And that 20% effective rate, is it getting you first downs or touchdowns? You see what I'm saying? So those are the things that you got to recognize, that the data wonks and all the guys that are crunching the numbers are looking at production. And you're getting a lot more production by having the quarterback spread it around to tight ends and open receivers. That's why the most quarterbacks, they don't look to hand the ball off. The running back is a check down receiver. The handoff that we were used to seeing growing up is now the check down. So if you want to be successful as a running back, you got to catch it 5 yards behind the line on the pitch or the check down pass, and then you got to go. All right. Look at the dynamic running back that came out last year, Jahmyr Gibbs. All right. They thought he was going to do all this work, all this work. Oh, we're going to do work.
Let me cut you off for a second, because your Jets just ended the 5th round, but they picked a guy from the Toronto Argonauts from the CFL. 5'11" cornerback, 203. Quantez Stiggers.
All right, let me pull it up.
The CFL player. I didn't even know they could draft a guy from the CFL.
You just got to sign your waiver.
Was possible.
Yeah, you just got to sign your waivers out of the other league. It's just like any other league. It's like the Japanese players like Ohtani in baseball. But I go to this perspective here with the New York Jets. They're grasping at straws, okay? They got a head coach who's in better shape than half of the players on his roster. Okay, and you go back to what I was telling you before. When you go into this draft, let's talk about the Jets here. What do they have that they need? Offense. Look at what they've drafted. Offense. So I give them credit where credit is due. At least they're not going out filling up the defensive side of the ball, knowing that they can't get the ball in the end zone. They've wasted 3 seasons with Zach Wilson, and now you've got an aging, and I mean aging, Aaron Rodgers. So you bring in the Jordan Travis kid. I'm not a big fan on.
Is Aaron Rodgers a Hall of Famer in your mind?
He's a Hall of Famer because he's Aaron Rodgers. As far as winning multiple championships and being dominant in the league,
well, he's only won 1. Let's get that straight.
The first half of his career was a lead up. He played behind Favre. He got his shot. He lived to the maximum of it. And then he found those South American drugs, man. And South American drugs. When the drugs come from South America, change your whole game. His career's been on a downward spiral since he discovered that. And I have no faith in him. I mean, Hall of Fame because he's Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets are not even on my betting board this year. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's. I mean, to me, he's a Philip Rivers, but he won a championship. So if you
Right,
put
right, right.
Rodgers in the Hall of Fame, you put Philip Rivers in, and most people would say they won't put Philip Rivers in. So I say, well, in that case, you don't put Rodgers in.
Well, let's look at it this way. If
I
Peyton
know I'm in the
Manning,
minority.
right, but if Peyton Manning wasn't the big brother of Eli Manning, and Eli won 2, does Eli go to the Hall of Fame? I don't think he's gone yet.
Yeah,
That's the question you got to ask yourself. So you take 2 quarterbacks that were played in the similar same era. Aaron Rodgers, bigger name recognition, dated celebrities and all these women from Hollywood. And then you
yeah,
go back to the other guy who only won 1 more championship than him, and Eli Manning, and you ask yourself, does he get in off of the merits or the last name? So if you
right.
take one, you got to take both. I feel that I said Elon. No, I'm definitely not talking about this guy because I don't be dealing with the Twitter. I don't deal with the shadow banning. I have no interest in that. But unless Eli gets in, I think if Eli gets in, Aaron gets in. And if Aaron gets in, Eli's got to get in just for the fact that Eli won the New York Giants a couple of Super Bowls with teams that won with grit. I remember Tom Coughlin, man. I mean, the Giants were trapped. They trained up in Albany. They'd all hang out
Yeah,
in Saratoga back in the day when I lived up in that region. But I'm telling you, the New York Jets, this is a draft to forget. We know what they need. They got to shore up the offense. I think that the Jets did the same thing the Raiders did, okay, when they brought in Jimmy Garoppolo. What a disaster that was. And who
right.
warned you about it? And who warned you about it first? Who warned you about it first? You were on my show. I told you
Yes, sir.
once they offered him to Poon from Hustler Club and Sapphire, he was done, okay? He's too handsome. They gave him the Subway commercial. I knew we weren't going to see him play. I told
He
you
was
guys this. Go
dating a
ahead.
porn star.
There you go. What was the chick's name? I can't even think. Man, I can't even think because I don't
Yeah, I
even
can't
know
remember
about that
either.
shit. But that's what he was. Her name is Mia something. Mia
Yep.
Kiara Mia. That's it. Kiara Mia. Thanks, kid. Thanks, kid.
Yeah,
I got my little helpers here. Yeah,
Mia
he was dating
Khalifa or
Kiara
something.
Mia. No. Not Mia Khalifa. No. We not getting into none of that today. No, she. No. Too much politics, all money, all sports, no bull. But no, her
That's
name is
right.
Kiara Mia. She's a Latina, older MILF
Oh,
type
okay.
Latina from LA. But no, I knew that Garoppolo wasn't going to work just because of his lifestyle. You can't bring a guy to Candy City and Sin City, and he's a born sinner, and expect for him not to sin. All right, I knew it was a disaster. I just
Right.
knew it. Okay, I would have rather seen. You know who I wanted to see Jimmy Garoppolo go to?
Who's that?
Shockingly, after me saying all this, the New York Jets. He's still
The
going to have
Jets.
that whole Italian sandwich campaign. He can run that with Subway. But New York is a cesspool right now. Okay, the women aren't coming outside. It's World War Z. It's the purge. I would have liked to see him go to New York, but he'd have to stay inside of a training facility and get nice for the Jets. And he's still an NFL caliber quarterback, always hurt, always injured. Who isn't playing for the Jets? But I'm telling you, this is a real situation here where the Jets really have to figure out who is going to be their quarterback because Aaron Rodgers went down in the first 5 minutes. He
Right.
was training at USC this past weekend again. So, again, I'm not being facetious when I tell you this, people. Some insiders told me that you guys saw it on TMZ. They saw it live. Man, huffing, puffing, and vomiting on a running drill? Oh, no. We're going to have some problems at quarterback, and I think the Jets could be a 5-win team this year. I don't think they'll get above 5 wins based on this draft. Now, unless they do some things in summer OTAs, sign a few undrafted guys. I mean, you're already bro, when you're drafting guys from the CFL, I mean, I get it. You want to get guys with experience, but the reality is simple. They're trying to take the best available for their needs. The Jets need an offensive team, period. Their defense
Right.
with Sauce Gardner and the crew, that's who won them games last year, period.
Right.
Okay. The Zach Wilson winning that, I think they won the first game because the special teams got it done for them. It was like a punt return or something. But again, special teams and defense, Jets are going to be fine. But we've got to score the football. And what they're drafted and all rounds, offensive tackle, wide receiver, running back, injured quarterback, another running back, Isaiah Davis out of San Diego State. Big and bulky, though. Then you got
Yeah.
Quantez Stiggers coming out of Toronto CFL. He came out last year, ended up getting traded to the CFL, ended up having to play in the CFL, and now he's back in the NFL as a fifth-round draft pick. So talk about not improving your draft stock even when you play some pro football. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I mean, come on.
I know.
I'm breaking it down for you. How do you go pro and you
Yeah.
still get drafted in the fifth round again?
Yes.
I don't
Basically the
understand that.
sixth round, last pick. So it's basically the sixth round.
Exactly. So that's the point that I'm making to you. When you look at where the Jets have come in, there really isn't anything outside of their structure than playing football. You look at this kid, and apparently, let's see, he went to freshman at Lane College. All right. Well, we'll give him some credit. All right. I'm reading a little bit about his story. He went to Lane College, which is a small NIA school. He's out of Georgia, something called Best Academy. Basically, we're talking about history right here on your show. You're going to want to pull this up. You're going to want to pull this up.
All right.
If I'm reading this correctly, I think this is the first man ever to go straight from high school to the NFL. Man, this guy has got no college experience, okay? It says that he went to Atlanta, Georgia, Best High School, and then somehow ended up into the Toronto Argonauts. And wow, this guy's a history maker. I'll give him credit where credit is due. Shout out to Quantez Stiggers.
Well, that would
This
make
man
sense. That would make
has
sense why he'd be a
never-
sixth round pick.
It says it right here. Stiggers did not play college football. My man, there you go.
Well,
There you go. I was about to say Stiggers, but you know, I got you on the show today. I don't want to get your show in trouble. But that's my that's my, you know what I'm saying? Hey, that's historic right there. Hey, shout out to Quantez London Stiggers, January 8, 2002. Much younger than Uncle JB here. But this man
All right. We
has
got
made
JB
it
with the change of heart on the show.
to the NFL. Yes, there you go. This is amazing. We're going to talk about this on my show. Quantez, get ready for the national media to start bugging the crap out of you because you are the first player. I'm looking at it right on your profile with Wikipedia. Shout out the Wikipedia Foundation. I send them $1 every year. It's cheaper than buying the World Book encyclopedias they used to try to drop off to my mom at the house. Getting the same information. Stiggers did not play college football, so this is a first. He's actually did what the young man Maurice Claret tried to do, but this is an amazing story. I'm glad that you brought this to my attention because now I'm going to be working on a few things to try to get in contact with this young man because this is an amazing, amazing history. It is a really rough
If
background
you get him on
for
the
him.
show,
Hold
I
on.
want to come on too.
Yes. Well, I got another show here, Dr. David Schoonover. I produce the Mind Coordinator, where we talk about mental health and athletes. So I'm reading something here that is very, very interesting about this young man's life because he went to Best Academy High School in Atlanta. He was a 3-sport player, football, basketball, baseball. Now, one of his brothers was almost left a quadriplegic after a spinal cord incident playing football, okay? And then his father was involved in a car accident in 2020 and passed away in the fall of 2020. So, and he was a freshman at Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee. He was going to play football there. Lane College, let me give you an idea of how amazing this young man is if he really did this. And this is his story, which I'm sure it is. No one would write something like this. It's a Division II school in the SIAC conference. That's a historically black conference, historically black college, Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee. So when his father died, apparently, according to the story, he entered into a significant depression, which is where Dr. David Schoonover could help him, the Mind Coordinator, and he left the school despite being on a D2 scholarship. So now this is where things get real Hollywood, okay? And he'll probably make more money selling his story. At the urging of his mom, he tried out for and signed with something called Fan controlled football. Now, you can't make this up, all right? This is really amazing here. An indoor 7-on-7 league, live streaming, like never heard of it. He played the 2022 FCF season and caught the attention of former Argonauts offensive coordinator Josh Jenkins, who played at the University of Houston and played football back in the day, who suggested he try out for the Canadian Football League. Now, ain't God good? Ain't that amazing? His dad's spirit was working in the Celestial Network for this young man to help him achieve his dream without ever having to go through the rigors of college football. This man is a complete pro. Okay, so shout him out. The Jets, hey, don't ever cut this guy just for the story alone. But go ahead.
I'm going to root this guy. I'm going to root for this guy now.
Yeah, this guy's going to be good, but let's move along. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I got so caught up in that. I lost my
Well, there you go. I mean, we're the first person that really is dropping the history on this young man. You got to take this portion of the show, chop it, segment, send it to him, and let him know. Big JB, the ticket in Las Vegas, knows who you are, knows your story, and I'm going to tell the whole world you are the first, and I repeat, the first straight from high school to the NFL player that there's ever been. So that's a fantastic, and he should go to the Hall of Fame just for that right away. All right, Daniel, let's jump into these other greets here. Talking about these Philadelphia Eagles, okay? Shout out my main man, Linwood Hard Rock Hamilton, defender of the youth. Always give him a shout out when I'm doing some shows here. The Eagles, this is a team that's loaded, so they really didn't have too much to pick up. So my question to you is, again, after Jeremiah Trotter, they're just overloaded with talent. Will Shipley out of Clemson. You got Jalix Hunt out of Houston Baptist. Don't front. This guy, I hate to say it that way, he hurt people, okay? When he hits you, he breaks things. Very, very good. Jalix Hunt, watch out for him in camp. He'll probably end up getting on the roster, knocking the starter out. Cooper DeJean, another one of those pick monsters. Do not throw it near this guy. This is going to be a team that is focused on reloading their secondary. I told you, their secondary stunk, all right? Darius Slay on down. They stunk.
Well, here's another history maker for the Eagles. Jalix Hunt is the first ever draft pick out of Houston Christian.
There you go. There you go.
So, and then Quinton Mitchell, he was one of the my two favorite corners here in the draft. And then you love DeJean.
Yeah, that guy's a pick monster. I like that.
So
don't throw it near him. Do not throw it near. I picked Iowa on several games in the under, and he was able to help me get paid because in desperation.
I even like Will Shipley, the running back. I mean, I think he's a good fit for them. He's a good, I think he can run out of the backfield, catch some passes.
He's a catch guy. The reason they picked up Shipley is because he does one thing very, very well. Probably try to make him into like a Wes Welker type, scat back type guy. He's not going to break down defenses like, say, a McCaffrey here, but he is the new Wes Welker.
Well, I'm trying to think of that guy. Who's that little guy the Eagles used to have that played with LaShawn McCoy, and they would use him as the little scat back guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about.
They would try to use him like that guy. I've been trying to think of his name all day.
Okay, let me think.
But yeah, I mean, I could see them using them in that variety.
Oh man, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
he was a scat back.
It literally just came to me and it went away.
Hold on a second. He played for the Chargers. I know exactly what you're talking about. Darren Sproles, that guy.
Darren Sproles, yeah, Darren Sproles. I can
see the ticket. Yes, yep.
Like that, yeah.
I think that's a good situation. Hold on, somebody's hitting me on my other horn here. Can you do a call next Thursday? I'm busy now. Okay, we'll do that. Just somebody else calling me to give me some more money. You know how that goes. We'll do that a little bit later. But I'm getting ready to have to jet here with you shortly.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you coming on, though.
I thank you for having me on. I hope you could hear my sound effects from my side. Hope you can see my background.
Yeah, I can a little bit. And then it'll come out clear, too, at the end when it'll do the local recording thing. So it'll come out a lot clearer, too.
Well, I just want to tell you, man, I thank you so much for coming on my show tomorrow. You're more than welcome to come on again tomorrow, live 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. here with us. We'd love to have you. We can go over
we do a draft recap or anything.
Yep. We do a full draft recap. Let me take a few look at a few of these scores here. before I go with you to see how my picks are
Oh, don't
looking.
look
All
at
right.
that Cleveland score. That didn't turn out good for us.
Oh no.
They
Oh
got
no.
blown
Oh
out.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's that
But
no balling association. I didn't really put
I'm
I
trying
didn't
to
put any
get
money on
the
the Cavs. The
no, me
Marlins are
neither.
scaring me a little bit. The Marlins are scaring me a little bit. Let me
Yeah, are
see
they
the
doing
baseball
good?
picks. Yep, we gave out the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing good. The Rangers, shockingly, are behind on the Reds right now
Well, I
at
gave
home,
out
but
the
I don't think
Cardinals
it's going to
today. I
stay
like
that
the
way.
Cardinals.
Yep, yep.
Uh,
Let's see. Baseball was that was a great baseball show for us because all the
it
games
was.
come on later on in the afternoon. So we literally can get a lot of traction. Again, push that link for me, get it out to all
Yeah,
your
yeah, and
fans. But yeah,
his
baseball
links on
on
my
deck.
Instagram. And so just click my Instagram stories. You'll see the JB the Ticket the radio show we did this morning. You just got to click there and listen to it anywhere you know, it's on
Yes,
Spotify and all the
live
podcast
in
stuff. So
yep, live
just
in-game
click that
betting is
link
there
and
for you
listen to
guys
us.
as well.
We had some good winners. Like I said, we had the Dodgers up 4-0. We had the Nationals. We'll see what happens there. But we also had the I gave out the Cardinals. I like them over the Mets today, so that's another
Oh, yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was no question. Remember I told you, stay away from those Mets. You already knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
So
like, Mets and
yeah, we
Jets,
made
I've
some
been
good
tortured for 25
picks. You
years.
got to listen to a show, and then once you click on it, then you can just follow his show, so you get alerts and everything. And every now and then, he's generous enough to let me come on. You know, hopefully, I'll be able to come on tomorrow. But it's always a pleasure whenever he lets me
I
come on. I
appreciate it.
always
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it. I appreciate you too as well, Daniel. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off again.
Yeah, go
Everybody out there in radio
do your shout
land,
outs one
listen.
more time, and then
Yep. Yep. Thank you. I'm not used to getting shout outs. Again, shout out my main man, Linwood Hard Rock Hamilton, defender of the youth. Ron, third down, best bets in the building. Ronnie B, chief handicapper here in Las Vegas. Brian Snow, my man, Troy West. He's been, on out of the show, getting himself together. We got so many guys coming on. Legal Lee, Stargazer. She's this Legal Lee's wife, actually. And she's a hockey fanatic, picks a lot of hockey winners for us. And then all the people out in Las Vegas and around the world that support the show. I don't do a lot of video. I don't do a lot of live streaming because I don't care about the fame. I only care about winning the game and putting cash in my pocket and giving out winners so people can pay their bills and enjoy their life. If you want to bet for a living, my picks are just as good for that too. So again, Daniel, thank you.
thank you, JB the Ticket. It was a pleasure. You have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
rest of your day.
That's right, you guys. And do one thing. You know what we got to do, right? Get the money.